Next, I will call on Mr. Frank Yanis. What? Oh, next I will turn to member questions. I understand that you provided the opening statement on behalf of all of the witnesses. So
I'm trying to speak for the group here.
excellent. So, Dr. Califf, we had a discussion on food safety when you were here to testify on the fiscal year 23 budget request, and I wanted to follow up with you. As the commissioner of FDA, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing the agency with regard to your food safety mission? Every agency, as I mentioned, can use additional resources. That can't be the only solution to the problem. So what changes do you believe need to occur to make food safety a higher priority?
Let me start by just thanking you for bringing up the fact that we have an agency that's had multiple commissioners with very short tenures. I'm getting ready to turn 71. I don't plan to be here forever, but I hope I'm here long enough to get a situation in place that is sustained regardless of who is the commissioner, and that's the number one goal. So when you ask what's most important, I look at the overall situation and just see a rapidly expanding group of industries that are producing food. I don't need to tell anyone today about climate change with the heat that we're seeing and the impact that's going to have, not to mention the war in Ukraine having an enormous impact on nutrition in the world. So we have this increasingly complex, critical set of industries that we need to regulate. And I think we have to look at the whole picture. It's the structure, it's the function, it's the leadership. You mentioned that resources are not the only issue. I completely agree with that. But I do believe that when we finish our complete top-to-bottom evaluation, we'll be coming to you with specific requests for places where additional resources can make a difference. And I know it's already being discussed and in some of the budget plans, and that's much appreciated. So, I think it's very hard to pick out one or two things. It's a multi-dimensional industry where so much good could be done if we get good nutrition to people in plentiful supply at a time when it's going to be very stressed in the future.
The previous administration undertook some structural changes with the goal of raising the profile of food safety. Dr. Califf, do you believe that these changes were effective or worked?
Well, first of all, let me say I don't question the motives of the previous administration on this regard. I think the right things were said and efforts were made. But, I heard a resounding chorus from the outside world, and, I must say from inside the foods program that it hasn't gotten the priority that it deserved. I think over the last couple of years, I would just point out that the pandemic has had an enormous effect on the whole FDA. And what's gone largely unnoticed is the amazing work that the foods program has done. You remember the early days of the pandemic when you couldn't find anything on the grocery shelves. And, we definitely had a problem with infant formula, but by and large, these people have put in a huge amount of work to be adaptable with regard to regulations and rules to ensure that people had food to eat at a time when there was a question as to whether that would occur. So the short answer is it's not. I think there's consensus in the food world that whatever was done in the past has not been successful in getting the foods program to the priority that it deserves.
I'm sure you're all familiar with a Politico article that was published in April. It quoted several people who agreed that the agency is simply not working in order to advance food safety. Some of the quotes included broken, Byzantine, ridiculous, a joke. I'd ask both Dr. Main and Dr. Califf how you responded to such very strong criticism, and how you responded to the article itself.
If I may, could I go first, and then I would like to definitely give Dr. Main the floor. I just want to vigorously rebut the way those comments were made. We have the safest food in the world, and every expert I've talked with, the CDC monitors this carefully. Our food is as safe as it's ever been. So to say it's not working is, in my view, just incorrect. That doesn't mean it can't be a lot better and that there aren't major problems. So, that's why we're doing this top-down review and plan to make significant changes. But some of the people quoted in that have been in leadership within the FDA. I could say they had a chance to fix it. It's not so easy to fix. So we all need to work together on this collaboratively, but also there's accountability, so we are going to need to make changes.
Yeah.
Dr. Main?
And thank you for the question, Senator Baldwin. And what I will say is food safety is not a joke at CIFSAN. It is our mission within CIFSAN, and as Senator Director, I can tell you it is one of my absolute top priorities. That being said, we do take all criticism seriously and are always looking forward to ways that we can continually modernize and improve our work within the center. So that's a priority for us. I will say, reflecting back on the last 10 years, we have accomplished a tremendous amount in the foods program. For example, with food safety, the establishment of whole genome sequencing, which is game-changing globally in food safety, that was work that came out of CIFSAN. Also, our work with regard to FSMA implementation, the foundational rules that have come out, 50 guidances to help move industry to the prevention-oriented framework that you all envisioned with FSMA, that is really important and notable progress forward. Also, with regard to nutrition, Dr. Califf highlighted our work on trans fat, but there's much more. Empowering consumers with information, really important things like menu labeling, so consumers have information to make the decisions they need with regard to their personal health. But we know more can be done. Resources are certainly something that was identified in that particular article. I will point out that we are 97% funded by budget authority and not by user fees. So as more work comes in, we absorb that work because we don't have a user fee base to increase our staff along as the work increases. So that I think is relevant, and we look forward to working with you on that. Dr. Califf also mentioned authorities. There are areas that we are seeking new authorities that would make our work more efficient. And so this is the type of work we look forward to working with you on resources and authorities, as well as the outcome of the review that Dr. Califf mentioned to make it the strongest possible foods program.
Thank you. I've exceeded my time already. I'm going to reserve time for a second round, but